Today on Dream Rides, a car made out of copper, a 1963 Radical Road Racer, a Camaro with a stretched LS, and a nasty Nomad in glorious green. And that's just a fraction of the fun. Welcome to Dream Rides at the 48th Annual NSRA Street Rod Nationals in Louisville, Kentucky. This is an amazing gathering of all sorts of classics and customs, and this event just keeps on growing.
10,133 this year. Unbelievable amount of cars. We've got every state in the union represented. Matter of fact, we have folks come from Australia. Larry O'Toole with Australian Street Riding Magazine brought a group of 20 from Australia. We've got a couple here that's actually going to get married here this afternoon. So we have a great time, but it is, I tell everybody, it's like a family reunion with cars. You know, everybody comes back, you got to come back 48th year, and hey, we're shooting for 50.
With so many street rods and custom cars on the grounds, it's impossible to cover everything. But we're going to kick things off with a hat trick of some of the wildest sets of wheels that we could find.
It started basically in 1957 when I was in art school, an art class in college, senior in high school. I drew this car theoretically. The instructor said if we would draw whatever we wanted, then he would grade us on that. Well, he gave me an F on this car because it was nothing that we had studied. So 60 years later, I decided to build the car and go spin donuts in his yard. Well, he short-circuited me because he died a year before I got it done. So I never did get to do that. But the car is just a vision of my own. It is accumulation of parts. My grandfather died in 1963, and the steering wheel was off of his old lard press that he had. The toolbox from my uncle, who had passed away, and I copied it in stainless steel for the toolbox. When I built the car, I took about 700 pictures, and I had about 6 pages of notes. And my daughter put a book together for me for Christmas one time, and she called it the Copper Rods. It's built totally out of copper. It's got a flathead Ford motor in it. It's a 1939 model. It's 304 cubic inches, fuel injected, runs about 22 to 27 miles to the gallon. We've got over 20,000 miles on this car, and we drive it quite a bit. Every time we stop, you just get a crowd around. You've almost got to ask them to move so you can move on. So it's been a very interesting way beyond my expectations. I didn't build it for that. I built it for my own ambitions, and so it took me 3 years, and we just do all kinds of things. But I'm not in love with it. I use it.
I've got a 1949 Cadillac sedanette here. I had a customer come to me wanting to build a car, so we started talking about it. We looked at what he wanted. He wanted a big sedanette style car. Came across the 49 Cadillac. We came up with some design ideas. He came up with some ideas. So we started this project about 2.5 years ago. He bought a really nice restored car out of California off of eBay. Did a lot of body modifications to this car. We started off with a chop top. We chopped it 2 inches in the front, 5 inches in the trunk. So that way it's got a little bit of a rake. It's got kind of that tail dragger look to it. We wanted to keep it Cadillac. We wanted to stay with that traditional styling. So we used a 1955 Cadillac front bumper and grille set, cut it into 30 different pieces, moved it around to where I liked it so it looked good on the car. And it has a little bit of a V nose to it with using that 55 Cadillac. So we found a 46 Cadillac top bar and used it as the top. If you look at the front nose, there's the bullets, and then there's actually 3 divided bars in the front of it. We wanted to bring that Cadillac flair to the interior of that car. Did a lot in the dash. We got with Dakota Digital, had them make the custom gauge cluster. We used the original bezel from Cadillac, but everything is custom built inside of it. In the later years, they started putting wood into them, or wood steering wheels and stuff like that. So we got with Bedwood, who normally makes pickup floor beds, and had them cut some special wood for us. And then we did the rest of the fine tune on it, but we used curly maple and added it to the dash insert and all the way down the sides. I'm really happy with where this car came out. You know, we had a good build plan of what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. I'm happy with the car, so there really isn't anything that I would change right now.
We have a 1956 Chevrolet Nomad, Bel Air version. Now, when I purchased this car, the gentleman I got it from, I was told it was rough and needed some TLC. When I went to look at the car, it had a good roof and boxes full of parts. And that's no lie. I could literally see through the quarters, through the floor, to the concrete ground. It had structure that held the car together so it didn't collapse. And we put it on a trailer and brought it home, and my family thought I was crazy, but I saw a vision. Bought the car in July of 14, sat on it for a few months thinking about it, and in March of 15 we got started cutting it up. By December of 16 it was debuted at its first show. Had 1,700 hours in it in 9 months to get the car at its first show. Everything on the car is redone. We tried to keep as much of the original sheet metal and trim as I could, because that was my goal. And I wanted to keep the car true to the Nomad look, the feel, but a few custom tweaks. And few of the custom tweaks most people don't catch is the one-piece quarter windows. And other than that, we shaved the emblems and the hood bird, and that was all. All the trim on the car is original, been straightened and polished. Most of the sheet metal, besides like the quarters, are original, just been fixed. And then other than that, it's modern. You know, it's an LS3, it's got an electronic transmission. I went with leather, but the other fabric in there is 1961 original fabric. I wanted to keep vintage mixed with modern. And so far, I mean, I like it, I'm prejudiced to it, but I get a lot of compliments and it's won a lot of awards, so I feel like I must have done the right decisions.
We still have more Dream Rides lined up, including a Camaro that has had an engine transplant and is now packing a vicious V12. Check it out when we come back. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steele Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Performance Automatic, custom transmission packages from street to pro touring. Daviki Limited, street rod body and chassis assemblies and engineering. And by Dustless Blasting, it's the future of surface preparation. If you recall race cars from the 60s, there is one short wheelbase beast that was more of a nightmare than a dream ride.
Well, the Cheetah was a car that was being developed by a guy named Bill Thomas. Bill Thomas was kind of doing it under the table from what we read to beat the Cobras. The Corvettes could not beat the Cobras anymore in road racing. So he kind of developed this car with a guy named Don Edmonds, who was an Indy car designer also. They came up with a Cheetah, which was a front-engine car. They built a few of the race cars that were road racing, but they could never homologate it, get enough cars built. GM pulled out of all racing because it was war years. This car here was not one of the original racers. We believe the body was from a drag car called Instant Motion in California in '63 in the day. It's a fiberglass Trans body. There's markings still on the car that arguably made some of the bodies for Thomas. Nobody really knows for sure. The car was, I bought the car out of a place called Thunder Ranch in California, San Diego, California. Somebody had started the restoration and kind of gave up on it because it was really a big job. And got the body, the chassis, some front end suspension. The transmission was with it too. So that's what I bought, and then we restored it as much as we could back to the road racing configuration. A lot of people know about them. A lot of people come up and say, my God, I didn't think I'd ever stand next to one, which is, yeah, I really feel good about that because I created something that everybody can enjoy.
Many of the Dream Rides we see today are pampered and prepared in garages large and small, and quality equipment makes those jobs easier.
Mechanic brand is a brand for the at-home DIY auto enthusiast. We design and develop tools to help that person get their job done. We bring that DNA into everything that we do and really try to empower people to turn their own wrench. Okay, this is our 2-ton hybrid floor jack. We've redesigned the floor jack to address some of the problems that you find when you're working in a home garage, which is very uneven surfaces. Moving over here is our creeper tool tray. This is designed to help the problem when you're working under a car and you typically find people with tools scattered all over the place. You can take this to your toolbox, load it up with your tools, bring it back to your site and roll it underneath the car with you. So as you're laying down under there, everything is organized and within reach. We've also designed a new light. It's called our pod light. It's an orbital light with a magnetic base. So this light is able to stick onto anything and work very much like a ball and socket joint. This is also built and designed to work as an ecosystem with our tool tray. So there's a landing pad for it right here. So as you wheel this under your car and start doing the job you need to do, you can aim the light and get it directly where you need it. This is our Sidekick toolbox. This is the ultimate in having a utility cart with you that also features some storage for your basic tools. You've got all the space you need to store your tools on the front. On the back, there features a tool rack and magnetic trays on the side. And again, we have a 450-pound capacity on this. It'll hold a lot of dude, a lot of tools, and with 3-inch casters on it, you can roll it over anything. So all of our mechanic products are designed to help you turn your own wrench when you're working on your car.
This is a 1967 Chevy Camaro. This has been my car since I was 19. That's the first car I ever bought. I own a hot rod shop. I build cars, and I've never gotten the chance to build one of my own because you know how that works. We got the opportunity to get this motor, the V12 LS, and when we got the opportunity, I told them the only car that I could give them to show was my own, and they absolutely loved it, so we went ahead and built this car. When we got the opportunity to do this motor, the idea was if we're going to have a motor this wild, that we need to build a car that shows off just as wild. And everybody has seen a Camaro in just about every way that they could possibly see one, the first generation. So we wanted to come out and say, how about this? Is this wild enough to fit with this motor? And when we got with the Koresh brothers, they thought so. So we were very blessed to get the motor and get it in this car.
We created the V12 LS to meet a gap in the hot rod market. You're seeing these builds out there now. We started going to some of these big shows and every single panel on these cars is modified. Nothing is stock. And then you get around to the engine compartments and you just see these crate motors. And we said, what can we do to bring something to the market that's that extreme, that's extreme enough to show off the engine, which is really the heart of the car, and something that brought the engineering level up to the same level as what we're seeing in the whole rest of the builds. Working with a builder, someone as experienced as Mike, any artist in fact, you're always better to let the artist do what they want to do. You don't tell someone how to paint a portrait, let them paint a portrait, let them do what they want to do. And we just, first time we saw it, it was, you know, it was jaw-dropping, and obviously people at SEMA thought the same thing because it did very, very well out there.
When Dream Rides returns to the 48th Annual NSRA Street Rod Nationals, we'll drop by a couple of drop tops from the Ford side of the show. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Louisville. Every way you wander at the NSRA Street Rod Nationals, you'll find rows upon rows and miles upon miles of Dream Rides. There are so many street rods and classics that you can never take it all in. So the best thing to do is to grab on for a whirlwind tour through this world of wheels.
My car is a 1937 Ford Cabriolet. It's a wild ride body and a wild ride frame. When I bought this car to build, it was in like 17 pieces. I mean, all the fiberglass pieces were apart. You had to put the frame together first off. The frame was in like, I don't know, 8 or 10 pieces. Had to build the frame. Then, like I say, the car was in pieces. I had pieces everywhere. And putting them together and matching the lines and stuff, and just, I'm a slow worker. The motor is a ZZ4 GM motor, and I actually won the motor here at one of the Nationals worker meeting. The interior, it's all leather. The seats come out of a old Fiero, and we had to cut them down and narrow them. We did away with the headrest on it because we didn't want them sticking up over the back ridge. I'm very happy the way it turned out. People ask me if Chip Foose designed this car, but now this is my idea. It took me 4.5 years to build this thing. It's a fun car.
Some of the Dream Rides here today have owners who prefer the easy way for changing gears.
Welcome to the Performance Automatic booth. Today we're going to feature our smart packages for our Fords and our GMs. One of the things we do at Performance Automatic is we package our transmissions together with a controller, bell housing, and all the proper equipment to go with it. This is one of our Ford offerings. This is set up for the big block Ford. We've added extra clutches, we've added special sprags, and then we've topped it off with our smart controller. This smart controller operates the transmission very simply and through user interface, simple dials. Now actually we use that same controller over here in our GM series. This is our 4L60, 4L70E series. Again, we've added extra clutches. We've given you a longest warranty in the business. We can offer the MSD controller, but generally speaking, we use the smart controller. It's a little easier to use, and it's a product that our customers have seemed to like. We've added the extra clutches, as I said earlier. We've added a larger band. You have a nice aluminum pan, and again, you have a fine finish on these transmissions and a warranty that goes for at least 3 years. Some are actually warranted forever. These have been the pick of transmission builders across the country. If you need more information on our product, you can contact us through performanceautomatic.com.
It's a 1940 Ford convertible. I actually acquired this car built. It was originally built by Smitty's Rod Shop out of Ohio. Pete Shaporis originally owned this body. It was an original paint body when they first acquired it, the build first started. I've had the car for 8 years. I've just made a lot of changes over that period of time. Everything on this car basically has been changed, from the frame, all the way down. The engine is a crate motor, crate transmission, crate 9-inch Ford rear end. All the welds have been ground polished. Underneath this car looks just like it does on top. Air ride suspension, that's why you see it sitting low like it does. You can't really drive a car that low, so it actually raises up on ride height to drive, but it gives it that good look and low profile. I try to envision that car when I start, what it's going to be like finished. Now this car was already built by Smitty's Rod Shop. I just refined it. Chris Customs did the interior. It's all leather. There's 2 of the dash plaques, like you see, that chrome dash plaque that's in that dash. The bottom one actually hides a radio. I don't like that look of a radio in a traditional style car, so I tried to hide that. They did an excellent job on the interior. It's actually one of my favorite cars I've ever owned. It's an exceptionally well working car. Not all of them are, but this one does what it's supposed to do. Goes good, stops good, and blows cold air.
There is more of Dream Rides still to come, including a 32 Ford that is one example of an annual summer project. You'll get the lowdown when we come back. Dream Rides is being brought to you by Steele Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. CarCapsule, protecting vehicles for over 20 years. Custom Auto Sound, the originator of classic car OEM fit radios since 1977. And by Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. Welcome back to Dream Rides. To some people, the cars and the participants at the NSRA Nationals are getting a little long in the tooth. But we found a group that is bringing the street rod world to teenagers.
The car we're looking at is a 32 Ford. It's a fiberglass body from Bebop's. This is our 15th project. We've been doing the camps now for 11 years. We did a couple of camps 2 or 3 of those years. And this is about providing an opportunity for teenage boys to learn how to build a hot rod and be instructed based on Christian values. As far as selecting the kids for the camp, it's based on a first come, first served basis. Anyone can apply. There's really no criteria.
We pick boys from the ages 16 to 19, and we provide all the food, lodging for that week, and there's a modest fee involved for them to come. We provide all the work materials and try to give them instruction through the week. There's usually 6 to 7 of us as instructors, and we try to keep the camp small. We typically have 6 or 8 kids that come to the camp. That way we can do a one-on-one situation with them for the most part. And we'll just take, for example, in this car, we started with the bare frame, and it's sitting on jack stands, so I may take one of the kids and we'll start hanging and bolting on the front suspension. Somebody else may do the rear. Then we'll start with the plumbing, brake lines, fuel lines, all that stuff, and just start building the car from that point on.
It's a '59 Corvette. Many years ago, I had a chance to buy a Corvette relatively cheap, and at that time, the wife was pregnant with our second child, so I had to be, a good husband, a good father, and definitely Corvette was not in that. So I always had that itch, always had that deal about owning a Corvette. Quite a few years go by, wound up going to the Bloomington Gold Corvette show and took Corvette 101, took a class, and the very first thing they said in that class is there's a love-hate relation with Corvettes. Either you love them or hate them. So that took care of that itch for a little while. Then over time, that itch started slowly coming back. When I wanted to do this, I bought the car, and then one thing kind of led to another, and then getting with the builder, and it just kind of grew from there. So it really turned out very nice. But it has a LS3 out of the crate, so it's pretty nice. Rack and pinion steering up front, vintage air conditioning, roadster shop chassis. It's an original body car. Listen, this is the first time I've ever done anything like this, and it's come out really well. Everybody seems to appreciate and enjoy the car. I'm very proud of it. And I mean, this is a huge deal for me, so very proud of it.
So that wraps up our second episode from the NSRA Street Rod Nationals. But here's some good news. On our next episode, we'll be checking out the Circle of Champions, where the top point scorers are on display in world-famous Freedom Hall. It's wall-to-wall dream rides. Don't miss it.